Good evening, this is Channel 5 Action News, and I'm your reporter, Chad Michael Michelson, here with the Daily Scoop on the War on Terror. Harry Truman, come here. As a follow-up question, how do you feel about the Bush Doctrine?
I fully support the Bush Doctrine because it resolves to combat terrorism at all costs necessary, which is quite similar to the Eisenhower and Truman Doctrine. The Bush Doctrine was a good decision. It allows the U.S. to use unconventional methods to stop the infection known as terrorism. Like the Eisenhower Doctrine, it also allows the U.S. to aid countries that are against terrorism.
Mr. Truman, how do you feel the war on terrorism is being handled economically?
I believe the approach we are taking is a very effective approach. It is similar to the Marshall Plan and Truman Doctrine. The people can learn from Winston Churchill's tactics in mind. We have to avoid feeding corrupt rulers like King Shishak. Although today the U.S. does support Hamid Karzai, who is a corrupt leader. The U.S. only supports him because he is an anti-terrorist and a loose supporter of democracy.
Helping other nations is very important, but how do you feel the military is handling the war on terrorism?
We have to take the terrorists seriously. We should attack them, but not be as aggressive as Douglas MacArthur. Nuclear weapons are not the solution to remove the terrorists. If anything, brinkmanship is an ideal approach because it would stop terrorist movement while still be prepared if a war seems
Nuclear war is definitely something the U.S. should try to avoid, but how do you think we should handle nations that have already fallen to terrorism?
We should treat it similar to the Berlin airlift. We airlifted necessary supplies to the citizens in need. We should send military aid to keep order between citizens and the government. We should send food and other supplies to help citizens. We should also help the country by aiding the rebuilding effort if the terrorists destroy parts of the country.
Thank you for taking the time to answer all of our questions today, Mr. Truman.
No problem.
Well, if Mr. Joseph Stalin, please. May we have a moment of your time for an interview?
Sure, hop in.
How do you feel about the spread of terrorism, Mr. Stalin?
I believe we should expand our war on terror to have other nations join our cause. It will be like how I had nations join the Warsaw Pact to match the capitalists in NATO. It's similar to my successor Nikita Khrushchev did, getting the support of Mao Zedong. The domino theory works. The secret was sending in spies like the great Ethel and Julius Rosenberg, and then create a wall to black out the spread of the enemy like the Iron Curtain and the Berlin Wall.
The Warsaw Pact was a very effective approach, but how do you feel the domino theory is being played in today's warfare?
I believe the domino theory directly correlates to your present situation. For example, if we allow one country to fall to terrorism, then the terrorists will gain more power, thus creating more opportunities to strike again. We need to protect all countries against terrorism, because if we don't, it will lead to very destructive situations.
Click, 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 click. Ain't nobody fresher than my mom. Click, 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 click. As I look around, they don't do it like my click, 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 click. And all these bad men, they want the.
Oh my God! If it isn't Dwight D. Eisenhower! Mr. Eisenhower! Mr. Eisenhower, stop the car! Stop the car! Thank you for your time, Stalin, but we got other things to do.
Where are you going?
Mr. Eisenhower, how do you feel about the war on terrorism?
I think we should just let the terrorists continue their actions, but keep them contained. And if they strike again, we may just have to take this with further action. And we should not take this approach Joseph McCarthy did with the HUAC. Also, the Patriot Act is just wrong. George Marshall and I upheld the American civil rights. We should have taken more passive.
Here at the local elementary school, asked to ask small children how they feel about the war on terrorism. Hey, little girl, come here, little girl. We got candy, come here. How do you feel about the war on terrorism?
Terrorism is bad. We have to kill the terrorists.
Is that it?
Also, I hate Osama bin Laden.
Nothing like economically or strategically possible the U.S. can do right now?
No, I'm not that smart.
What grade are you in?
3rd grade.
How do you feel about the war on terrorism, sir?
I love terrorists.
You love terrorists?
Yeah, I descend on a family of terrorism.
What?
Yeah.
Does the U.S. know about this?
Yes.
They do, and they're totally cool with it.
Yeah. Iraq is black.
What?
I don't know.
Well,
I think cocaine.